And next, we're going to welcome Fanni Valisalo from Sweden. Fanni is going to be presenting about the impact of COVID-19 on her lifestyle. And she is 14 years old. So Fanni, thank you so much for submitting to us on the challenge. And judges, Professor Wang and Colin, you will be asking the questions next. So if we can be ready for that. All right, Fanni, the floor is yours. Good luck. Okay, Fanni, we just need you on mute. You are on mute there. There you go. Go ahead.
I'm Fanni Valisalo, and I'm from Stockholm, Sweden. And before I begin my presentation, I have to say my earnest thank you to all the judges for all your efforts in this contest. I really appreciate it. So I entered this contest out of interest, but one thing that really pointed out to me was the open question of the prompt, because we're still in the middle of the pandemic. We don't know what the outcome or the aftermath is going to be. So that's why this competition is really important, because we need to gather all the young minds together to brainstorm the outcome of the effect of the pandemic. There's no right or wrong answer that we know of now. And if we're able to predict a possible or a likely outcome, maybe we can be prepared. And thus, I actually got to know a lot more about the pandemic myself. And I chose to do my essay and video on comparing the lifestyles of the majority of the world that is in lockdown and Sweden that's not even open borders, no quarantine or no lockdown. So in my essay, I analyzed the solution's positive effects, negative effects, and why Sweden is able to do this and what kinds of characteristics a country must have in order to consider implementing the solution. And I chose to do a video because, well, first of all, we were asked to do a video, and it shows life in Sweden the best because it's a video, it's a visual, it's clear-cut evidence of life in Sweden. So that's what I chose. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Fanni, so much. And her video, it was about life in Sweden, so it was fascinating. We're going to ask Professor Wang to start with a question for Fanni. Professor.
Hi, Fanni. It was very enjoyable to read your essay as well as watching the video, knowing the true aspect of life in Sweden under these circumstances. So I'm just, I enjoy reading the pros and cons of two strategies. I'm just wondering what your thoughts on, afterwards, say Sweden's successful, and then there's some of the neighboring countries taking different strategies. And then when it comes to the second wave of this, when one population has immunity, another one doesn't. So what's your thought on what's going to happen when the two populations are going to interact?
And you mean the two populations of like who are herd immunized and who are not?
That's right.
Well, my thoughts on it are, this is actually a very interesting question. Thank you. I think that when these two populations meet, one is herd immunized and one is not. So it's gonna go the herd immunized are probably gonna take over here. So meaning probably the population that's not herd immunized will become herd immunized, because I mean it's best for all of us if we can like put this virus and continue living our lives, even if it's in the middle of our lives, kind of thing.
Thank you, Fanni. That was a tough question, Professor. Wow, that was a good one. Yeah, that was a hard one, Fanni. You did great. Well done. All right. Next, we'll ask Colin from Brock University. Colin.
Yeah, hi, Fanni. I really like your video. You certainly had a flair for the dramatic in your video. You seemed very comfortable. I like the positivity you brought to your video. So in your video, you talked about how the Swedish approach brings more trust among the people of Sweden. I'm hoping you can elaborate on that. I really want you to dig deeper and explain why, or maybe how, this Swedish approach brings or improves the trust between Swedish people and improves the trust between Swedish people and the government, like the institutions.
So the government institution is asking Swedish people to, they're not forcing people into lockdown. They're not forcing people to do anything that's like they don't want to do. So in this case, basically Sweden's government is putting the responsibility on the Swedish citizens, which in those terms builds trust, because it's like, hey, and the government is like, hey, I can trust you with this. So just be careful for yourself, all right? And then the Swedish citizens can act on it. And if they don't feel comfortable, they can stay home. And if they feel comfortable, they can go out and continue their life in those terms.
Great, thanks.
Thank you so much, Fanny. That was fantastic. Well done. And thank you to the judges. That was also awesome.
Oh, why? Hello there. I am Fanny, and welcome to a day in my life in Sweden amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Let's get started. As we were hanging out, my friends and I decided to go to the park, and it is so crowded, it's like the whole of Stockholm decided to come here. Next up, we've got school. School is still physically a part of my life, but to get a deeper look to see what things have changed, let's look at the video. The desks are a bit more separate. Later on, we went to a park to do some PE. As a humorous treat, I'm just gonna leave the sound on. What are you doing? Then the weekend came around, and for most people in Stockholm, that means a visit to the city. Most of the shops are open, but only a limited amount of people are allowed in the stores. Many public venues and shops and stores all give out hand sanitizer for customers to use. Signs like these are being put up to remind customers of the guidelines. Things that people may touch are cleaned often. Before the pandemic, I taught 2 children Finnish, and now that's being moved online. Lessons regarding the environment that I teach are cancelled. Things regarding my dance have changed because we aren't allowed to touch each other, and we have to stay as far away as we can from each other, and our physical audience has been moved online. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing a day in my life under quarantine. I'm sorry. Sweden style of quarantine.